You're listening to the Career Plus Life Catch-Up, episode number 36. Welcome to the Career Plus Life Catch-Up, a show anchored in reality to help you create a balanced life where you enjoy both your work and your life, because you don't have to choose. I'm your host, Cecile Ferry, a corporate executive turned coach and working mom. This is your place for insights, advice, and tools to optimize your career direction, balance, and confidence. I'm so glad you're here. Let's get into it. Hello, beautiful people. How are you feeling today? I hope you're well and thank you for listening. So I'm back this week. I couldn't do an episode last week due to lockdown, but I live by what I preach. You guys know me. If I've got too much on, I'm going to have to take things out. It's difficult for me. I struggle to accept it, but that is the only way. And it's fine in the end. So maybe you need that advice for you this week. Maybe you need some things taken out. And because we all have to manage, and being overwhelmed doesn't really achieve anything for anybody. So what are we going to talk about today? So as usual, I always have a couple of topics that float around my mind every single week. And the way that I decide on the topic here is always 100% inspiration-led. And sometimes very much just in the moment. And it has never let me down. And I'm talking 1 year into the podcast and 37 episodes later. So this morning when I was getting ready and setting up my day to do this podcast, I realized that I was doing a series of things that are quite usual for me, quite automatic, quite ingrained for me. And then it just occurred to me that I could share all of this with you and we can talk about how to set your day up for success. I can share a lot of my learning and my journey with that because I have set up my day. I will tell you about it, but it's actually something really important. So you probably know this already, but how you do the things at the periphery of your daily life and outside of those activities that you kind of have in the middle of your days is very important because it influences how you feel and therefore your actions and the results that you will have during the day. And it basically sets the baseline for your mood and your mindset all day. So in a nutshell, how you show up. So in this episode today, I want to take you through strategies from morning to day to night to set your life up for success. It will be a very nice, easy listening, practical conversation, and I will share what I do. But just know that there is certainly not one formula, not even a couple. Otherwise, we'll all know it and it will be a bestseller. It is so dependent on the individual that pretty much that setup will be unique to you. The principles are the same for everybody, but the actions that you take or how these principles translate into your reality will vary for every single listener on this podcast. So you may have heard about the 5 a.m. club or some 5-step formula for morning success shared by some gurus online. I am not saying these don't work. They work for them. So definitely if you're interested, read about them, check them out. But I will say check a lot of them out for inspiration. Gather all that information and then make your own sauce. At the end of the day, it's about what works for you and what feels good. I will get back to this a lot in today's episode. So let's get comfy together today whenever you're listening to me, if it's in your morning, your daytime, or your nighttime. And let's discuss how to make it the best possible experience of living life to the fullest today. So logically, I'm going to start with the morning. Like many say, it's critical to set your day right from the morning, and I agree with that. But bedtime, in my opinion, is equally important. And also, you can always change course during the day, even after a crappy morning. So let's just say mornings are important, but they're not everything. I am also 100% realistic with you here today, knowing that many of you have got kids, and especially young ones, and that these little people, as cute as they are, really affect our morning and night routines. I am not denying that. So I just wanted to say, I hear it, I know it, I feel you. And if you have young kids, be extra lenient with yourself and approach this conversation with an open mind and not just thinking you've got to do it all and you've got to do it well. Like everything that I share with you, it has to be realistic. It has to work with what you are given, and that is different for everybody. So now let's talk about my personal experience in the mornings. I will confess up front that mornings are what is the most challenging for me as part of my day. Therefore, I've had to practice with different kinds of setup to help myself as I wake up, because more often than not, I wake up not feeling at my best. I look after my sleep, and we'll talk about that, but often I don't feel quite rested enough because I have a super active mind. That is just my makeup. That's just how I am. So my mind works all night long, and this is a pattern in my family. My dad is like this, a lot of my brothers are like this, and my daughter is also the same. So I typically wake up writing in my head a podcast, some Facebook post, or making a mental to-do list. It's not mandatorily stressful. Sometimes it is, and other times it's just being mentally productive. So my brain has been trained like this for years. I'm actually much better now than I was when I was in my 20s, where I remember I would wake up in the middle of the night and having all those thoughts and ideas and things, and that would really disrupt my sleep. Now I sleep through very well, but my mental brain still wakes me up. And it might be the same for you. And that is linked to our stress hormone called cortisol. And if you've got a big mental load, or if you are particularly stressed or anxious for other reasons, cortisol will wake up your brain with thoughts rather early in the morning. And the more stressed you are, the earlier it will wake you up. So if you're interested, you can read more about that specifically. Now, cortisol wakes up everybody, but if we are more stressed for any particular reason, it will wake us up earlier than other people. So in my mornings, what helps me is to check in instantly as I wake up with how I feel that day. So if I've got thoughts racing or I'm feeling anxious about my day, I get up. This is a tip I got from Mel Robbins, and she says there is no point staying in bed, rehashing your thoughts, or even trying things like deep breathing. It doesn't work. So she says just count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and get up. I have tried for a long time with tossing and turning in bed early in the morning with my thoughts, and I can tell you it's not a good strategy at all. So instead, I wake up and I ask myself, what do I feel like today? So kind of what is the temperature? What is the weather like? Do I feel pretty sunny inside that day and I'm ready for some inspiration, something uplifting to carry this further? Or is it more like grayish, and do I need some relief because maybe that day my thoughts might be particularly heavy or creating pressure for me? So this is the principle. Ask yourself this question. Do I need something uplifting or do I need some relief? And then do what this entails for you. Do what works best. So for me, something uplifting is reading a positive, empowering book. It's meditating, it's doing breath work, it's thinking about my goals and being grateful for everything that I already have. I might be doing a few yoga poses. On the other hand, some relief for me looks like listening to some easy piano music. I have a playlist on Spotify I like called Peaceful Piano. or I listen to some Kundalini yoga mantra music. It's very soothing and calming for the mind. It's really kind of positive and nurturing. I really like it. And then I can get to that neutral place where I'm feeling okay. And okay is good. Okay is perfectly good enough. Sometimes I even get to the other side where I actually go all the way to feeling uplifted too. And that's a bonus. I have also been starting recently to draw some oracle cards in the morning. They have been gifted to me by a dear friend. So that is now part of my morning routine. But if I'm not feeling great upon awakening, I just don't do it. So for me, what works is that flexibility based on the mood I wake up in. But the goal is always the same, making me feel good. And that is your compass too, your North Star. Whatever you do, the rule is that it makes you feel good. It makes you feel warm inside, makes you feel a bit of joy, makes you feel comfort and contentment. So while still talking about the morning, I'm going to give you a couple of very concrete, practical things that I do and that I recommend for you to do. The first one is to give yourself some food and drink that you really enjoy. So have a really nice coffee if you enjoy drinking coffee. And buy yourself a really good machine because you start your day every single day with that experience. And also eat food that you enjoy, not because you have to. So in other words, you can eat that super healthy chia pudding or super healthy granola bowl with all those nuts and things in it and powders and shakes only if it feels good, not because it's healthy and you should eat it. And likewise, if you eat a not so healthy breakfast, like just tune in with how it feels. So for me, I have a couple of options for breakfast that feel good to me and I rotate amongst them because I like the variety. Second point is, in conjunction with what you eat or drink, look at what you are eating and drinking with, and more broadly, look at your environment at home. Does it feel good? Does it lift your mood? For instance, do you have a nice cup that makes you feel good when you grab it? So for me, every morning I drink my coffee in a beautiful hand-painted teacup that my daughter gave me for Mother's Day. And I don't use any other cup, but every day it has that special connection and feeling for me. And other things, like what are you looking at every morning? What is your environment like? Is it a sink full of dirty dishes? Or are you dealing with, an older broken appliance, a cluttered or maybe disorganized kitchen and pantry? All those things that you put up with, but they impact your mind and your mood for the day. I am not saying here, start being OCD and have a perfect magazine-looking house. Do that if you want to, but just be mindful that all of those visual and sensory touch points or cues that, all the things you expose yourself to in your morning experience have a role, impact your mood, impact your mind. Be really mindful of them and pick those, and it might just be one for you, it might be none, it might be several. Pick those that are more significant for you, those that create a bit of a negative emotion that you typically absorb and move on from. So identify those, select them, and change those. Another point for you for the morning is I start my day with warm lemon water on some days when it's possible. So for instance, I do that when I have some time before eating my own breakfast. So I will make myself a big glass and carry it with me around the house. And this is something that I enjoy and makes me feel good. Another thing that is paramount for me in the morning is to delay external input. Let me explain. I do not read or listen to anything external until I choose to later on. If you are my friends, I can guarantee you I have never sent you a text at 7 in the morning. You can check it. Yes, I use my phone when I wake up because I use it to listen to some audio tracks for meditations or mantras or just music. But I disregard all the things on it. I do not check and I bluntly ignore all my messages. I do not check my emails for hours. I literally refuse any external input into my brain until I am ready, until I choose to. So yes, you may have external input in the form of your kids, and that is not optional and we can't switch that off, but there are other inputs you can control. Likewise, I don't watch TV, I don't listen to the news, I don't read messages from my friends, and I don't have notifications popping up anyway on my phone. So no, I prioritize me and my brain because I find mornings, like evenings actually, I'll get to that, they are important gates in my days. They are when I get some clarity, some inspiration, some ideas, and some solutions when I allow them, when there is space for them to come through. If I let other external sources into my brain early, I run with that. My brain runs with that. And it fills my thoughts with that. And therefore, I miss the clues or the creative thinking that would have happened otherwise. So for instance, it's 9:45 a.m. as I am preparing this podcast, and I haven't listened to anything else than music since I got up. I haven't read a thing yet because I want to channel my inspiration for this podcast, and it's so effortless that way. But make no mistake, this is very intentional. It takes some self-control. And trust me on this, I have been practicing for years, and it's critical you prioritize you and your own voice and your own mind in the morning before letting others in. So keep your phone on flight mode if it helps. So other things that I do in the morning is music. So I have spoken about it. I think it's super important in the morning, and it can help distract you if you have the temptation to check your phone. So whatever kind of music goes for you or for your household. It could be calm and serene, or it could be upbeat and lively. Music is great for kids too. And finally, I have realized over the years that I love a bit of morning fresh air. That's what works for me, even if it's just 10 minutes. I love that crisp, fresh morning air, especially when it's cold. It awakens me fully and it's really invigorating. So I pop my head outside or breathe a bit outside to just take it in after school drop off. And sometimes I even let myself go for an early morning walk or a run. So you see, it's not about doing the exact same thing every day, being very routine oriented and having lots of discipline. In my experience, this doesn't work because you force yourself many times. But your body and mind change and fluctuate all the time. So why would your morning routine stay the same day in, day out? I'm not saying have none either, but have a couple of parameters. A couple of things in your toolkit that you pull depending on the day, depending on the kids or your partner as well, and how you wake up. The main thing is that it makes you feel good. Because when you fill your own cup first, the day is already good, no matter what happens next. You don't need external events or people to make it good for you. It's already done. Tick. I know you will say you can't do this because of other people in your household. The reality is that you can, but you are spending probably more time thinking that you can't and sitting in the negative emotion, resisting it instead of doing it. So you can bring your alarm forward. Go to bed earlier if needed and just start doing it. It's true. When you have kids, you often have to do this for you before anybody else is up. But it feels so good when you do it. You just have to get started. Let's talk about the day now. I'm going to give you my 5 key principles. Number 1, turn off distractions, especially if you are the kind of person who gets easily distracted. So that means having little clutter around you, being away from other people in the house or within the office, kind of putting your blinkers on and even being away from noise if you need to. So think about what is the best setup for you in order not to be distracted easily. And same goes with your phone or phones. So turn off those things so that you set yourself up for productive and to be fully concentrated in what you do. Principle number 2, have a plan. You should always know ahead of your day what you are set to accomplish in it. The key rocks. You do this by doing a weekly planning. I usually do mine Sunday night. It doesn't have to be a super rigid plan by the minute. Actually, these don't work anyway. We are human beings, so we need some fluidity. But we also need a plan. Otherwise, we will fall prey to our primitive brain, who will do anything it can to have us be on the couch watching Netflix. Let's be clear with its intent. It's to keep us safe, comfy, and familiar. So you cannot let it in charge and need to have planned with your cognitive brain instead what you want and what you will achieve in the time you've allowed for it. So don't wing it every day, or you will be inbox watching, and I guarantee you will feel pretty dissatisfied at the end of every day. You will also be at the mercy of other people and their agenda since you don't have your own. Principle number 3, have breaks. I need to stress out this one as it depends on the culture. But if you're listening in Australia, like a lot of you listeners are fine, Australia isn't big on the breaks. In France, people have coffee breaks at least morning and afternoon every day at work and at home. In Australia, people make a cuppa or just run to get a coffee, but then rush back to their desk. So take a real break, even just 15 minutes. Your brain needs it to recharge. All research shows anything beyond 90 minutes of sustained focus falls into the non-productive category. And it's not good not to move anyway. So put a timer if you need to and get up and stretch. Go outside for a little 20 minutes walk. You will come back very refreshed. And going outside whilst making work calls does not count as a break, really. When we're working, we are in our head. It's very much at that level. And therefore, we don't feel in our body at all then. That's why we need some movement. We need a mental break so we can drop back into our bodies every 90 minutes or so. Principle number 4, know your energy level patterns and adjust your schedule. This one is critical. If you only do one thing for your daytime, do this. Observe over the weeks how your energy is fluctuating. Notice when you are full of it and when you feel like extinct. We are all very different on this, and nobody has constant energy throughout the day. We all have peaks and downs. So for me, I'm a powerhouse first thing after breakfast, and I'm pretty solidly good mentally until lunchtime. And then afternoon is downhill for me, especially past 4 o'clock. I cannot do anything creative or any problem solving beyond that time. I could certainly never write a podcast episode then, let alone at 8 p.m. But you could be very different. So know yourself, it's super important. And use this as your roadmap to schedule your activities. And for me, that's also another reason why I will not allow external input in the morning when I am at my most productive. So we all have limited windows of focus. So we need to know this and we need to guard this with our life. Principle number 5, automate and reduce decisions. Again, that is the principle, and what it means for you and what it covers for you depends on what you manage. So for me, it's making meal decisions ahead of time on the Sunday. So come every weekday, it's a no-brainer. The food is bought, it's there, and I just follow my plan. But it could be what you're wearing. It could be preparing the lunchbox in advance when you have low energy and you can just do it mindlessly. So the key here is you want to limit the mental energy you allocate during your day to things that don't matter very much. So this takes some awareness first of what those things are, and then some planning or outsourcing. Bedtime, here we go. My favorite. I have had a routine for bedtime for years and I barely change it because it works every time. My mood is more constant at night than it is in the morning because I always stop working prior to dinner and I have very similar routines around dinner time. Therefore, I feel pretty much the same every night. So see how your degree of regularity during the day will impact how you feel afterwards. If dinner time varies a lot in your house, you may need a different set of routines like I have in the morning. For me, it's the same, but sometimes I start it even before dinner when I'm really tired, when I have expended my energy a lot during the day, and when I crash even sooner than usual. I feel it, I know it, so I instantly start my routine even prior to dinner along with my daughter. So basically it means pajama time at 6 p.m. And I will share with my evening routine is to have a second shower. I always do this because it's like nearly therapeutic. I feel like it washes away the thoughts and worries of the day. I feel like I have a clean slate afterwards. And it's also a nice quick break for me to have some space if my daughter is with me. And then I cut off my external feed like I do in the morning. I use a screen time limit on my phone and then I turn my phone on air flight mode. I will admit I am not 100% diligent on it. I fail at it sometimes, but what matters is more that I do it most times. And when one day I am on my phone at 10:30 p.m., I know it's not great for me. And I let myself choose again right then if I want to continue. But usually the phone gets turned off. I slip into a warm, comfy bed, thank you electric blanket, with a cup of herbal tea. And again, I have bought myself gorgeous cups because I use them every single night on top of using them throughout the day. So they are part of my ritual and they make me happy every time I make them. Likewise, I have a ton of different teas and I do not hold back on buying what takes my fancy in the tea department. And I have several books on the go and I grab what I feel most like that night. That works for me. It may not be your style. Again, this is all about feeling good. And I know from my readings that the way you go to sleep is a huge indicator of your sleep quality, of your rest, and of your energy the next day. In other words, we all need to go to bed content. That's why they say never go to bed on an argument with your partner, because your subconscious mind continues on the same trajectory that you were on consciously when you fall asleep. So the question is, what are you thinking about when you go to sleep? And are you happy with what you're thinking about? Does that make you feel content? Maybe are you ruminating about what happened during the day? Are you thinking about some of your frustrations? Maybe some anger, some worries about the day past or the next day? Do what you need to do to get back to a neutral place where you are content. For some of us, it's writing a to-do list for the next day, so we know things have been planned. For others, it's about going through your day and remembering what were the key things that went really well. For some, it's listening to calm music to unwind, or it's journaling, or it's feeling gratitude. So whatever way you use, the principle is to empty out any negative feelings still lingering around, focusing on neutral or positive, that level of content. Just content is enough. And look forward to your night's sleep as you do for your day. That's how I look at it. I value it as much. It's like you're entering your night. In the morning, you're entering your day. It's as valuable, as important. We are just not conscious during the night. So also do whatever is needed to foster good sleep for you. And whether it's bed comfort, it's noise cancellation, it's managing the amount of light. Like these days, there are devices, products, and options for all of this. Really research what you need and invest in it. It will pay off tenfold. For me, I take magnesium every night because it helps my active mind settle. So bedtime, in a nutshell, is all about feeling good, getting yourself into that place of contentment and not collapsing and being like, I'm completely over this day and bring on the next. You know what I mean? You should actually land back in a good position, ready for a good night's sleep, because your sleep is so important in setting you up for the next day. In other words, night is super important to set you up for day. So to wrap up this episode, I'm going to leave you with the key takeaways. Number 1, your rising time and bedtime are the most important times in your day. They frame everything that happens next and are the door to your subconscious, where you get your nudges, your inspiration and ideas from, where you grow really. Number 2, there are key principles: feeling good, putting yourself first, cutting the external feed. But then how you implement this is very unique to you, and you may have to try and test different things. Number 3, your environment is very important to set your mood, so don't overlook its impact and put up with things that are messy, not really nice, cluttered or uncomfortable. From your bedroom, your kitchen, your office, and even like your car. So I know this was a pretty long episode, but I hope that it has inspired you and it helped you identify a couple of aspects of your day from morning to night that you want to change. So just start small and build up. Now I have an excellent routine all around the clock, but I didn't get there overnight. On the contrary, this has taken me years to build up, to adjust and to refine. But all of this happened naturally in an unconstrained and free manner. I started with bedtime routines because they became important to me when my relationship was very strained and I had a lot of stress during my days. So those bedtime routines became my oasis of peace and rest. And then during COVID and working from home, I perfected my daytime routine. And finally, more recently, I've been working on perfecting my morning routines. So see how it takes time to build up, and also it needs to be a freeing, pleasurable thing to do. Many of us approach this with what we should do, what we know is good for you. A little bit like gratitude, these rituals are shared widely in the media, so you think you need one and you kind of force yourself to follow a formula. This doesn't work, as it does not often make you feel good, because it might not be right for you. Or they can end up just being a tick-the-box exercise. Feels good intellectually, feels virtuous, but it's not setting up your energy deep within you. So over to you, my friend, to start playing up and experimenting with tailoring all those little moments of your day that you have full control on. Always tune in to see what feels good, to know if you're doing it right. And watch how your day feels happier and happier little by little. And to any of you who feel like this is a little bit too selfish, let me tell you this. Over the years, I have taken more and more care of me that way, just like I told you. And it has made my life better and better. And I have also been giving more and more too. So it's a win-win for all. You first, others next. I wish you lots of fun and positive rewards as you start setting up your days for success based on what's unique to you. Have a beautiful week. I will chat to you soon. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to find out more information, you can visit my website at careercatchup.com. There you will find blog articles, free resources, a self-study course for your career direction, and ways to work with me. It's at careercatchup.com. I hope to continue to connect with you and support you. Talk to you soon.